relevant are images and infographics in a blog?
See, if I would think that if you're writing a travel blog, for example, images are very important. And if you've captured some special photographs, definitely put them in. But then the purpose of the blog, if it is to convey some written piece, then I wouldn't go for too many graphs unless it's adding value to your piece. So limit the number of images to something which is really catching, which is something which you really love. Like say when I write something on travel, I would like to put pictures which I have captured and something which is very unique, not something that I lift off Google. But otherwise, you can limit the number of images and graphs to 1 or 2.
You have to have that, you have to exercise that caution that if you're going to use a picture, it should not be a copyrighted image.
Yes.
Just don't cut and paste. If it is old, you have clicked it, use it. Otherwise, avoid.
Yeah. And it adds value only if it's something different, unique, and, brings out something beautiful according to you. Otherwise, it doesn't add value to your writing at all.
So my question is about quotations. How can I effectively use quotations to make my blog attractive or more eye-catching, engaging, whatever?
There is a tendency to use a lot of quotations in, because you can always, people think that it's more effective. But that said, it is better to limit quotations to maybe just one if you think it adds value or it is relevant to what you're trying to write. The main purpose, the main idea is to put out your opinion and your thought. So don't rely too much on quotations, but maybe just add one to add to the credibility.
If I may just add, many people think when writing or even while formulating their speeches, putting in a lot of quotes actually hooks attention, but it can detract, if it is not adding value to what you're writing, and you're not going to sound smarter or be more intelligent by using a lot of quotations. There's more power in your own words. I think being yourself, unique, and expressing yourself in your own individual way is really good. But yes, quotations should be used if they are going to enhance your writing, if they're supporting it. Otherwise, there's really no need. And there's no limit to it, but don't use so many that, the article is just quotations and not your piece. You get lost amongst those quotations.
If it comes to using a quote, then give the credit to the person who has said that quote. So that is one thing. And secondly, in my view, what is blog? It's your personal view. Why you want to use someone else's quote? You develop your own quote. Isn't it? So that is better, in fact.
We all operate in the midst of a very busy schedule. So can you give us some tips on finding the right topics for the blog?
Shiny, I'm in India now. And from the moment I wake up, I seem to be filled with ideas, suggestions for topics. Because maybe because I don't have a hectic schedule here. But then you can get a topic from anything and everything. In fact, in the morning, even before I wake up, I have a full-fledged conversation happening in the house between the three old people in the house. And they are so hilarious, the conversations I hear. They are at least, all that they're talking about is at least about 60 years old, And I keep wondering at things they say. So from that, I get ideas on what I can write. I see the garbage vehicle going across, playing music every day. And that music is so irritating to me, but the maid loves it. That gives me an idea on something I can write. So there is inspiration. You can write about anything and everything. Inspiration just depends on what you can build upon and what interests you.
In fact, someone has rightly said that that means people who tell stories can rule the world. And you should be the one who can see stories around you. So your ambience with the atmosphere, the work atmosphere itself, you'll come across so many characters with everyone coming up with their own stories. It could be like if you're a 9 to 6 type of a office goer like me, in office itself, you will get so many characters, right from your office boy to your CEO, your other department colleague, everyone, even your customer.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story to tell. So you can.
I think people make the most interesting subjects.
Yes.
Different kinds of people, their reactions, the things they say can make most interesting blogs.
Right.
And I think if you keep your eyes and ears open, if you become a very active observer and listener, inspiration will strike you.
One tip that I would like to give to new writers is you can go through blogs written by others and see what kind of things they write about. This might give you an idea of how to use your what you see around you and make it into an effective blog.
What is the best way to break the ice or to break the writer's block and the hesitation inside us?
Okay, well, I believe, and I've tried this myself out of personal experience, I'm telling you, there are innumerable sites which offer you writing prompts. And writer's block is something which we all end up with. What happens is we get bored of our own ideas. We get bored of the way that our mind tends to think in one direction at times. So we do need a change. We do need a break. So you can go in for those writing prompts. There are lots of sites which give you that, and a few prompts that I can give you, suggest is, suppose you just pull out 3 old photographs from your photo albums. Okay. Something in those photographs is going to trigger off a memory. And that memory, you could talk about that memory, or you could talk about the person in that. It could be anything as simple as that. Or you could talk about, you just pick out few words: achievement, success, meditation, and your thoughts on it. Just start writing. Maya Angelou says that nothing else works unless you do. So unless, it may not be a full-fledged article, but at least you would have started breaking that ice, breaking that block, keep chipping away. And one day that block is going to become sawdust and you're going to overcome that. So keep looking for prompts everywhere. There are lots of sites wherein you subscribe to, you will get writing prompts and you will be able to write. Just take a word, one sentence. When you're teaching children, in fact, you take one sentence: the old man walked on the road. What kind of a man? How did he walk? What kind of a road? And there you start building up that way. And your story evolves and emerges from there. Ask questions. And these are the kind of tips that I can share. That's my experience. The other panelists, please go ahead.
There's one more thing that occurs to me is that oftentimes we feel that we have to start at the beginning. And that's when we end the blog there itself, because you can't think of an apt beginning. There are thoughts in your mind, but you keep thinking that I have to start from somewhere, and the starting is elusive. So instead of that, forget about the opening, forget about the conclusion, and start off bang with the body of your blog. Whatever episode or whatever experience has prompted you to write it, start off with there and then go to the opening. You'll be able to overcome the block.
Just pardon me for using 2 wonderful product taglines. I'm not endorsing those products, but the taglines are very inspiring. One is "Keep Walking" by Johnny Walker's, and Nike's "Just Do It." So my mantra is simple: just start writing.
Yeah.
The block will be eased off.
If you're really serious about writing, then you can, there are so many groups out there on Facebook and Instagram, which you can join. And when you are in such a group, you are encouraged to write and keep going.
Can I use my Toastmasters speech as a blog?
You can use your Toastmasters speech as a blog after adapting it. See, what we use in a Toastmasters speech is just about 7 minutes. There's a lot of difference between speaking and writing. There is so much more you can say when you write something. Whereas when you're speaking, you have to crisp it so that you finish it within those 7 minutes without repeating yourself, without bringing out the beauty of language sometimes. So I would think you can use your speech, but adapt it so that it becomes more beautiful as a written piece. than what you delivered as a speech.
When I was a club president in Toastmasters, all my presidential addresses were very well received. Then I thought, why not make a log of that? So it started. So to answer Viju's question, yes, you can use your Toastmaster speeches as a blog, but very well said by Soumya. Why don't you adapt it to look like a blog? Yes.
You know, the thoughts which are going in your mind, even things like your heart beating fast, your pulse racing, you know, those kind of expressions add value, make your written piece more powerful. And you may not be able to do all that or create the same effect when you're speaking. So to that extent, you can adapt your speeches.
In fact, I remember distinctly that when I first started my Toastmasters journey, I used to give my speeches the way I wrote. And then I was told by my mentors that, you know, the way you write doesn't necessarily translate into a good speech, because when you're writing, automatically, you know, your language is more descriptive and you tend to have a lot of play of words which may not translate into a good speech. So when you're doing the reverse, I think, as Soumya rightly said, you need to beautify your speech a little more, make it, that's your chance to hone your writing skills.
How do I ensure my blog is grammatical error free and the sentence construction is proper?
I think, Soumya, you should take that.
No, before that, I think
Harish would
have. Because
I can see the glint in Harish's eyes with that question. He wants
Please
to
go ahead.
Yeah, because see, when I started writing blogs, I used to get a kick that whatever I see, immediately after watching it, I have to write something. And without doing a spell check or grammatical check, I used to publish it. And then I used to get a lot of remarks, say, boss, this sentence is half, this question, this spelling is wrong and all that. I am guilty of this crime. So all my initial blogs are filled with not only grammatical errors, with all spelling mistakes, long sentences and a lot of use of prepositions and all that. But later on, as I kept writing and writing, I was able to correct this. Now you have such wonderful tools available, like Grammarly is one, Hemingway is one, and all that. You use it, you iron out all these blemishes, and then do a elementary spell check in your word itself. Best thing is to read, reread, and then only you publish it, or take a help of someone else to read it. Someone as good as Soumya or Vijay or other my panelists, they can help you coming out with all those glitches.
There are so many apps that you can use to make the task of editing simple. And some of them are Grammarly, which is the most commonly used. Ginger is another one. Ginger helps you edit as you go. But one of the downsides of using Ginger is that it does, when you're writing something, you are letting your creativity flow. So in between that, if you're correcting things, then that will not, that might be a hindrance to the creativity. So it's always best to just let it flow first, write your piece, and then come back, reread, edit. And several rounds of edit makes it all the more better.
See, to enhance the piece, how it sounds, I would suggest that, try not to repeat words. We tend to use the same adjectives again and again, which we are familiar with. That is very easily done. Open a thesaurus, find the apt synonym for whatever you're repeating. So one thing would be don't repeat. One downside of getting it checked by somebody else is what happens, say, if you gave it happens with all of us. Now, if I give my piece to Harish or Vijaya, they might want to change the structure of my sentence. But what happens, your entire style gets changed then. You lose your original style and there's a mix. Somebody else's invades what you have written. So ideally, reading, rereading, and trying to make your own grammar sound would be the best way. And yes, as Tasneem and Harish have pointed out, use those tools, but as long as we are learning from them, and not just using it as a corrective tool that will set things right.
I'd like to add one word of caution when you're using these tools. It's that just don't depend on them blindly, because sometimes when you are creative, your app might say that you're wrong, but you might not be wrong.
So right now we discussed about how to make your article look better, not doing the grammar check, not repeating the words or getting an opinion on that. Apart from that, what are the other best editing practices that can make my article look better?
These days, I think in a lot of blogging sites, you have a lot of templates which you can play around with to make it look better. Now, editing practices wise, I think it's so important to realize to be ruthless with your own writing. When I say be ruthless with your own writing is most writers, I'm sure those who write will all vouch for this, we fall in love with our work. I think anybody, I mean, just like a mother falls in love with their child, you just can't see anything wrong in that. Many a time when you write the piece that you write, you love every bit of it. But you realize that when we spoke about word count, you have to realize that you have to be concise and precise. Your audience your reader is not necessarily going to love that. So just see, are you just paraphrasing what you're writing? One sentence, you could be repeating the same thing throughout, but in different ways. Is that really necessary? So it all boils down again to, is it adding value? Just like you go back to your school days and do précis writing, just see whether what all you've written, is everything required? You don't need 4 or 5 descriptive words if just 2 are going to do the job for you. So read, reread, cut, chop, be ruthless. I think that is what I would say. But don't be so ruthless that you totally lose the essence of that piece. Keep what is quintessential.
In fact, I am representing all those hundreds of Toastmasters who have that drive to start writing their first blog. But something is stopping us. So I want from each one of you panelists, to give that tip to me, which goes out to all those hundreds of Toastmasters in District 105 who want to write their first blog on District 105 website blog.
I think if you are writing for District 105, where you know that you have this 3 criteria to write, look, as we say when for a speech, you look at the internal and external sources. Look at what has the Toastmasters journey done for you. Start from there. Maybe you could write the blog about your very first step inside a club, someone who impressed you, what a mentor has done for you, or how you have touched someone else's life. These are your starting points. Just look within and try to figure out how it has moved you. And I'm sure you'll come out with some article.
For me, when I got the message that you can write a blog in July, and I thought, how much more can we write about Toastmaster meetings? Until I got it clarified that you can actually write on anything, but you just need to tie it up such that you make it relevant to Toastmasters. And that is not a big deal at all. So for me, I think it's an opportunity that every month you can actually write. If there's something which is stopping you, this is your impetus, say, okay, every month I'm going to, whether it gets selected or not, let me send in a blog every month. And that gives you an opportunity to experiment with your own writing and your own thoughts, your own style.
We have been telling stories, sharing stories, hearing stories right from our childhood. So blog writing should not be a problem, because there are so many stories about you and your surroundings. Just come and pen it down.
It is very common to feel that, what you're going to write is very insignificant or it doesn't add value to other people. But that may not be the case. There might be someone who gets something out of your, of your opinion or what you have written. So just because that's your insecurity speaking. So just kill that insecurity and just write.
If I may just sum it up by saying, don't wait for magic to happen, because I think magic lies within each one of us. It's just for us to discover it. You have the power. Just weave it with your words.
Just drill down, find your niche, and just do it. Start writing.
Just look for stories. There are plenty all around you. Make them into a narrative.
Be different and make a difference.
Be unique, be passionate. Express yourself.